Hi, I'm Brady Calhoun. I'm with WMBB. We're having another 13 Now session of Facts Over Fear involving the coronavirus pandemic. I'm joined by Bay County Commissioner Philip Griff Griffits. He represents most of Panama City Beach, the Hathaway Bridge to the county line, and parts of Shell Island. And he owns several beach businesses. Griff, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, Brady. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Um, the commission made a very tough decision, along with Panama City Beach City Council, to shut down Panama City Beach to visitors, to shut down the sandy beach. Um, Tell me how tough a decision that was.
Oh, that was a very tough decision. I would say, probably the hardest we have as a commission have ever made. We have the world's most beautiful beaches. So when you tell people, when you uninvite people, that's a very hard decision. Obviously, we know the impacts it was going to create on the beach businesses. So yeah, that was a lot of sleepless nights leading up to that decision for sure.
What are the short term impacts for businesses like yours?
I think staffing levels I mean, the unemployment we saw what the national numbers were yesterday. We know locally that that's just going to increase day over day. There's a lot of businesses that are really trying to keep their employees on staff, making odd jobs, wearing several different hats. People are taking pay cuts to keep them on staff. I think there's a lot of, I know for a fact there's a lot of business owners on the beach that are doing everything they can. But the longer this drags out, the worse it's going to be for them.
And I mean, long term, are some businesses just not going to be able to come back?
Yeah, I imagine so. I've had discussions with owners that say if this lasts more than a couple of weeks, they're not going to have the money to keep their doors open. I'm hopeful that the federal and state legislatures will bring some money to the table for these businesses and individuals so that we can keep these businesses open. It's the margins are very thin in small business, and when you throw this in their lap, it's really hard. I feel for them. I really do. This was a very tough decision, and it's worldwide. It's not just us locally having to make these hard decisions. So this is going on around the country and the world.
I mean, obviously, the decision was a public health decision. Do you think it's? I know it's sort of just happened, but do you think it's working in the sense that we're keeping the infection rate out of Bay County and keeping people who are infected out of Bay County?
I would hope so. I think the desired effect of telling the visitors to go home has worked. Everyone I've talked to on the beach, their occupancy levels are below 15%. Some hotels are at 0%. The it's really making the desired effect, I think, of telling people to go home. That was the ambition and the goal for the commission to tell folks, look, you need to go back to your house and circle the wagons, and we need to do the same here locally. And we have to protect our citizens, and that's paramount for us right now.
How long? And I ask everybody this, and I know nobody really has the answer, but how long do you think this will last?
I don't have any idea. We're leaning on the experts in this. I'm a small business owner. I'm not a clinician. I don't have any medical experience at all. So I'm leaning on those experts to tell us what to do. The governor and his staff are really a source of information for us. We speak to them several times a day about what are the plans, if there are any future plans, if it's a state closure or a shelter in place. We'd like to know, and they will give us those things. Right now, it seems like the status quo is working in the governor's plans to try to limit the tourism activity in the state. Let's hope it'll be short-lived. I read where Universal and Orlando are looking around mid-April to possibly open their doors. I would say we would probably try to follow some of their lead, considering they are the tourist experts in the state. Large crowds are how they make their living. So we will probably listen to those experts in that part of the world as well.
How do you feel the state level? You're talking about the governor. How do you feel that we've done at a state level and the Department of Health and what they've done? How do you feel they're doing?
I think they're doing a great job considering the circumstances. The information. This is a different animal than Hurricane Michael. The health department is the lead agency in charge of this, and when you throw all those HIPAA laws involved, I think the citizens, and including myself, would like to know more information in certain areas, and they're just not available to give that because of the HIPAA laws. The governor and his staff, with Director Moskowitz at the emergency management level, we've been active pretty much since the storm, since October 10th of 18. So kind of switching a little gears was not hard for us. Our staff was still very much mobilized after Hurricane Michael. So this is just another task for them to work on while we go through this process as well. This is something we've never faced. It's very fluid. Hurricane Michael, we knew what we had to do after the fact. This is very
Sure.
different. I think we're all learning very fast, and we have great staff. I would tell the citizens of Bay County, you have great staff at the emergency management level that are really looking out for the citizens, and we're following their lead and letting the experts tell us what to do right now.
Hurricane Michael, obviously this was going to be our rebuild year, I think, and we had a lot of construction going on. We had a lot of folks in town doing that construction, staying in hotels and things like that. What's the situation now? Has this put a stop to that? Has it slowed it down? What's it looking like out there?
Yeah, I don't think it has much. I have friends in the construction world that are not slowing down. They do say the new projects, they're not getting any new phone calls. However, those folks that have been waiting on repairs for the last 17 and a half months are still wanting their houses fixed, whether it's, flooring, painting, roofing, all those things that everybody has been dealing with. I think those jobs are still full speed ahead. The traffic counts are way down around the county. We've done some statistical analysis. Back Beach Road's down about 30% over last week. But there's still a lot of people around the county working to try to get us back. We're still in a full-fledged recovery. There's no doubt. We're dealing with things here locally that no one else in the country is having to worry about. And so we're still working through Hurricane Michael's recovery, and now this whole new added set of insults that the virus is throwing our way.
We did get some good news. Suzuki is coming to town. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's anytime we have any type of facility that brings in jobs like that, they acquired, I think, around 12 acres at the end of Frankfurt Avenue on the bay. They're going to build a testing facility that it sounds like it's real similar to the Mercury facility over on Watson Bayou. More jobs is great, especially considering the situation we're in. So we're happy that Suzuki chose us, and I think they'll be in a good spot out there with that bayfront access.
One more business question. Should the TDC or some other agency maybe help these hotels out that are in trouble, either with some kind of payment or some other way to help them?
Yeah, I don't know that the TDC could do that. The bed tax is really statutorily mandated by the governor or by the state, and so I don't know by changing that would require a referendum. We've had a lot of ideas floated at us. Maybe it's suspension of the bed tax for a time period. I don't even know that the TDC or the county has the ability to do that. We'd have to run that through the state. And at the end of the day, the bed tax is only paid on people staying in the rooms. And right now, there is simply no one staying on our beach. It is I told someone yesterday, if you ride down Front Beach Road, it looks like a Thanksgiving day. There's one or two convenience stores open, and that's about it. There's not a lot of people moving around. People, it appears, are abiding by the rules of the beach closure. It's very, very quiet out there. So while I know these folks need help, and we're going to do everything as a commission and any agency I know that's involved, we will do everything we can to help the citizens and the businesses of Bay County. I just don't know what abilities we have yet.
Sure. What are you hearing outside of sort of the business concerns? What are the concerns you're hearing from your constituents in emails and phone calls? What are you hearing from folks?
Early last week before the beach closure, it was most of the community was adamant about shutting down the community to the outsiders. We wanted to limit the people visiting our beach because we don't know where they've been and what they're bringing to town. And so we understood that, and that's why we made those decisions based with clinical staff at the CDC and the Department of Health. And I think that's done it. It's accomplished what we were trying to do, is try to keep that outside influence away. And it sounds like it's really taking effect around the country. It sounds like people are really starting to pay attention to the guidelines. However, I do worry that cabin fever is going to start setting in, and people are going to start getting antsy and wanting to get out and about. And if I was in Atlanta and I was working from home, and my wife and I were working from home, and the kids were off, when we're having to homeschool, and things become difficult, and you own a condo maybe in Panama City Beach, you might want to get in your car and drive down here and stay. And we're just discouraging people to do that right now. Let's let these next week or so play out, and let's see how these things settle down.
Sure. What's the Bay County Commission doing to sort of protect your employees? What kind of changes have you made in the wake of this?
The with the governor's mandate of the over 65 crowd, kind of staying at home, we're working with all our employees that are over 65 and give those abilities to work from home. Folks that might have compromised immune systems, we're working through staffing levels at that to make them work at home or separate from people that might have some concerns. Anything and everything we can to follow the guidelines. We have the cleaning crews that are coming in overnight to do really over the top jobs cleaning the buildings. Lobbies are closed. We're trying to limit those accesses. While still, if people need to conduct business with the county, they can call and make an appointment. Any online services, we're encouraging people to use those as well to try to limit that face-to-face contact until we get through this these next few weeks. Let this period of infectious part. Let's get past that.
Do we have, I don't know if the county commission is involved in getting sort of the equipment that you may need and your first responders need and those kinds of things. Have you guys been sort of supporting the sheriff and the ambulance side of this and first responders? What are you guys doing there?
Yeah, the PPE, the personal protection equipment.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've actually had some local businesses have stepped up with some donations for those types of things, but we're also working daily with emergency management in Tallahassee to make sure that all that equipment is here locally. Like I said, after Hurricane Michael, we had a lot of assets already here locally or in storage after the storm. So we are in a much better position than a lot of communities. And I think we're kind of ahead of the curve as far as personal protection gear for our first responders. And as well, the people at the Emergency Management Center are working 24/7 right now to make sure that our citizens and those people that work for the county are safe and protected when they go out in the community.
Have you heard from our two local hospitals about any of their needs? Is there anything that the commission can do there to support them?
Yeah, I've spoken with both CEOs of the hospital. Have a great relationship with both those guys. And anything they need, they know they have a direct line to call me or anybody at the commission level to reach out. Right now, it seems like they're doing very well. They're not being overrun with maybe some folks that might not necessarily want to be or need to be tested, but they want to be tested. The guidelines for that are very strict, and so there's a lot of concern about who they're testing and why they're not testing certain individuals. But right now, it seems like the hospitals are doing very, very well. We have a plan in place if we have to set up a mobile hospital, or we've also reached out to a lot of the hotel owners on the beach if we have to set up staging sites on the beach, possibly convert a hotel into a hospital for the time being. So a lot of work's being done with the emergency management in the hospitals, but they're very actively engaged in this conversation. And right now, everything seems to be running very smooth.
One of the concerns is having enough ICU beds and ventilators. So when I hear you talk about a mobile hospital, are we going to have the equipment we need to support a mobile hospital or a sort of a hospital in a hotel room?
Yeah, we believe we are. We believe we are. Right now, as we know, since October 10th of 18, our hospitals have been taxed since that day. They have been having to send patients out of county since that day. Nothing has really changed in that regard. But Gulf Coast is fully operational. Bay is not back to the numbers they used to have. They still have a lot of rebuild to do over at Bay, but right now everything seems to be running okay. But in the event that we do have to set these things up, we'll be fully prepared for that.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want the public to know? Anything that we haven't touched on that you think is important for them to know about the situation?
I would just say remain calm. I'm doing everything with my family. I think most of the folks around the country are doing. We're practicing those guidelines. My wife has a compromised immune system, so we're doing everything we can to keep her safe and protected, and she's staying close to the house. My parents are in that age group that is being warned to stay home, and I'm having to lecture them every day because they don't like to stay home. But we're trying to practice what we preach around here. I would encourage the citizens just remain calm. You don't have to hoard the food, the toilet paper, those things that were kind of chaotic a couple of weeks ago. It seems like the supply chain is settling down in the grocery stores. So there is supplies there. We still have food. We still have power. We still have water. Those things a lot of us were really fighting after the hurricane. While this is obviously a crisis of epic proportions and nothing we've ever dealt with, we are in a very good position in Bay County, and I would encourage the citizens just to remain calm. We're going to get through this, and as we've been saying for 17 and a half months, we're going to be bigger, better, and stronger because of it.
Well, Commissioner, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank everybody for watching us again, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys are clear.